Hey, I'm Supats, lifelong solopreneur. Now living my life with only one passion to help solopreneurs to launch their digital products on fast track so that they can be profitable as fast as within 1 week, and they want to scale, they can join the membership. And as a bonus, I show them how they can sell their digital products all over the world using affiliates. Without further delay, let's get started. Welcome to New Beginning Inspiration for You podcast. I'm so excited to invite our today's guest. You know, for solopreneur, you wear many hats. Many hats. You wear CEO hat, you wear admin hat, you wear a graphic designer hat, you wear so many hats, and it is so hard. Many solopreneurs they quit their 40 hours of job to start a business and they end up working 80 hours. Many solopreneurs they quit their business before launching their first product. Many entrepreneurs don't see second year in their business. Those who see second year, they don't see fifth year in business. And why? According to my opinion, because they wear too many hats and they don't delegate. Or they don't automate the things which can be easily automated and they can free up their own time. You can surely the things which are mechanical you can surely automate, and you can delegate, outsource, or you can even go for AI automation so that you can wear your CEO hat most of the time and you can focus on growing your business. And I personally was looking so much into AI automation because I have a team. I have actually outsourced lot of stuff. I don't do majority of the things on my own. But then I was thinking, if there are some mechanical things, if I can use AI, why not? And I have been looking for those kind of courses or information all around, and the only thing I could found was the bot on the website who can answer the questions, but I didn't find anything else. And hey, lo and behold, here is God sent Damien. He is going to really solve that problem for me, and I'm pretty sure he is going to solve problem for you. And I'm so looking forward to today's episode because I'm going to free up my time so that I can be more productive and so that I can have more fun in my business and my life. How about you? So, without further delay, let me invite Damien. And hey, stage is all yours. I'm so excited to welcome you and just want to know more. How did you get started with this journey? I just want to know your story.
Yeah, thank you, Sue, for having me on the podcast. Yeah, I started, um, almost in 2013. I started my business, so more than 10 years ago. And you mentioned the statistics that very few businesses pass the 2 year mark or the 5 year mark, right? And the way I tackled that was to actually do it part time. So I managed to talk to my employer and still be able to work for them 70% part time and have a day and a half just for launching the business. And that I think that decision or that strategy helped me at least pass a few years mark, but more importantly,
It's a very smart strategy. Very smart strategy.
but more importantly, for me to really um, nail or have a better idea of, can I be a solopreneur? Because many people have this dream of being a solopreneur, but can you cope? Can you cope with all the decisions you have to make? Can you are you able to work without a boss to organize your time? Because when you are a solopreneur, nobody tells you what to do. And there's,
Yeah,
as
yeah.
you said, there are so many things to do. Okay, what should we focus on? And that was one part of the equation. Be able for me to determine whether or not it was a good path. And once I've tasted the ability to be my own boss, to make my own decisions, and also start helping clients directly and seeing the impact. When you see the impact that you have on other people's lives, because of, in my case, just my knowledge, I started as an Apple consultant, IT consultant, IT trainer, and that was very rewarding. Even though the revenue was not there at all, it's just the reward of seeing that from what you do, you can help people and get money in exchange, basically. And so, yeah, that strategy for me worked pretty well. I still have to admit that I have I'm a patient person by nature, but when I tasted solopreneurship, I became impatient. I wanted to leave the corporate environment as soon as possible. And I would say that personally, I became full-time entrepreneur a bit too fast. I didn't manage to get enough revenue at the beginning, and so there was a lot of stress at the beginning to get the minimum revenue I was looking for. Yeah. A-
Yeah.
And you talk about automation, and the question I get sometimes is, okay, how did you manage to launch a business? You only had 1.5 day per week and the evening, obviously. How did you manage to do that? And the answer is really automation, systems and automations, having processes. From the get-go, I had laid out my customer journey. And from the moment they filled the contact form on my website to the moment I started providing services, I had a bunch of automation in place already. So, and you talked about AI and automation, and I would say that it's an evolution of automation. You, as a solopreneur, I would say more than 80% of the things that you do today, you can automate and you don't need AI. AI is something we can add on top afterwards, but already without AI, we can do a lot. And so in my case, for instance, um, I used a specific customer relationship management software, CRM, called Podio. And maybe I can already give a tool for the listeners, and that tool is independent of the computer that you use. It doesn't matter if it's Windows or Mac or Linux. This tool that I'm going to mention is one of the keys for me for being able to run my business on my own for more than 10 years. And that tool is called Zapier. Zapier. Do you know that tool already, Sue?
Oh yeah, I know that tool, but I haven't gotten started with it. I heard about it and I have been thinking about it, but I haven't gotten started with it. And that was my next question, with the Mac or Windows, and you addressed it already. So
Mhm.
yeah, go ahead, tell us more. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, so Zapier is actually a tool that allows to glue together different web services. And so in my case, I had at the time it was a Google contact form, a Google form on the website embedded. And whenever somebody filled that contact form, Zapier would detect that a new thing was uh, submitted, and it would then take all the information from the contact form and automatically copy that and create a new lead in my CRM, so that I didn't have to manually copy paste anything. And that's what one thing. But the second thing is, it also copied the relevant information in Google Contacts, which synchronizes with my phone, so that as soon as somebody would fill the contact form with a request, if they called me, I could see their phone number, their name, but I could immediately call them from my phone. I didn't have to copy paste anything. And in Podio, the CRM, it also has some built-in automation capability. So without Zapier, and that I leverage in the sense that whenever a new lead was created, automatically it would create kind of a blank cell ready for me to populate. But also it created a task in my to-do list to say, okay, please get back to that lead within the next 24 hours and ask them or organize a call or ask them more information about their request. And that meant,
Yeah, that is really.
yeah, that meant I didn't need a secretary, right? I didn't need a virtual assistant.
Yeah, that is amazing. And I love automation because when you are wearing so many hats, of course, it is a good idea to delegate the mechanical or low value work to someone else. But if you do the automation, the AI doesn't forget,
Mhm.
because we can forget. It happens, oh okay, oh I have to do follow up, and then basically something else comes up, and then you may forget and all. But AI, no, AI doesn't forget. You set the automation, AI will do your task, and that is so amazing. And it really means shows even the professionalism, because you are not forgetting, you are prompt, you are true to your words. So that really helps small business owners a lot.
Mhm.
Yeah. So, how can, if someone is in corporate and they want to become a solopreneur, how can they do that? How can they transfer? Because I loved your idea about the structure, because I spoke to many of my friends, and even my kids and all. I said, because when I wanted to hire, I wanted to give them first chance. I said, why don't you work for me, I will pay you. And then everybody, oh, we love structure, we cannot work for ourselves because we are not disciplined and all. So if someone is in corporate, someone else is deciding them what to do, and they want to become solopreneur. Of course, structure is needed, but what other things are needed? How can they become a solopreneur?
So they can become a solopreneur without even creating a company or doing anything that would penalize them from for the government or whatsoever. They could just start working pro bono, right? Pro bono, they first of all they should determine what they like to do and also what their skills are. And so before even launching the company, I did a Venn diagram with three circles, right? So one circle was what do I really like, enjoy doing? What are my skills? And what are the things that people around me seem to need? Seem to need, ready, they would be willing to pay one day, but they need these kind of services, and I could fulfill those kind of services. And that was the beginning of, for me, deciding to go to IT training and consulting. And so before 2013, where I launched my business, but still part time, before that, I did the pro bono thing, right? I volunteered. I found a small organization that was putting together people who would wanted to share their knowledge for free. And I was in this kind of,
Wow.
it was a knowledge sharing um, non-profit organization, if you want. So I came in and I said, oh, I could give you a training on how to use Microsoft Windows. And somebody had, oh, I could give you a training on how to speak in public. And another one says, oh, I can give you, I can organize yoga lessons. And so one day I was a teacher, another day I was going to a session of somebody, and it was free. Or we had to pay a very little fee, a yearly fee for the non-profit
No,
organization.
but that's a really great initiative.
And
Very
that,
noble.
yeah, and that's one way for me to test, right? Do I like doing something, right? Do I like doing these kind of things? And I could test. And I also volunteered finally for that non-profit organization to become their their webmaster and their newsletter. I was the person in charge of publishing the newsletter. So they would provide me all the text and the articles and the images, and I would put the newsletter together and then publish it on their website. All for free, right? Just as a volunteer, but learning step by step the little things that would be very good or required afterwards when you are a solopreneur. So I think the starting is that, right? Try to be useful, right? Be useful to your community. Find the things that can help your community for free, and see what you like and what you don't like. And then
No,
afterwards, if really they want to go and be a solopreneur, I would advise them to choose a niche or a topic that is not in that is different from what they do in their day job, right? You don't want to be to provide the same services or do the same thing as your employer, because then your employer will not be happy with you that you compete with them, right? So try not to compete with your employer. That's also a good thing.
I know, this is so important because in my community, in my membership, I teach people exactly the same, because nobody has like thousands of dollars sitting in the bank when they start a project. And you don't want to invest your, means basically family budget into your business. So look for there are lots of free resources available. Look for them and be very prudent, means everything is not free available, but be very wise in choosing what you want, because there is so much of shiny object syndrome.
Mhm.
You think, oh, this is good, this is good, this is good. And that's why, means I have even a free community where you will get all the free help for starting your business, and also free resources. And there are lots of things. Even I have e-courses free where you can start your first digital product for free, first e-course for free, and you can promote uh, and even market your digital product or e-course for free. And once you have steady income coming from your first digital product, then you can look into other things. And I'm not actually against ads, because yeah, they are good, but when you have some steady income coming in, part of that you can put into ads if you want to.
Mhm.
But otherwise, even without ads, you can grow your business really well. And I totally resonate with your strategy, because that's the best strategy anyone can use in getting started in the business. And we really means agree 100%, because I have been passing the same message to my community all the time. Yeah, so automation is a secret weapon for solopreneurs, but how can they get started? And it's artificial intelligence. It is a revolution or it is a fad? What do you think?
Yeah, so for me, artificial intelligence is as revolutionary as electricity was when it was spread around. And I think that's my opinion is that AI is not a tool, but it's an underlying technology, right? It's a fundamental technology. It's not a tool. We see the tool. So ChatGPT is a tool. right? We see Stable Diffusion, we see Notebook LM, we see Perplexity AI. We see all those things. Those are tools that leverage a technology called artificial intelligence. And yes, it's, I would say it's a little bit, I think we are lucky to to live today because imagine 200 years ago, you would be one of the first person to see an electric light bulb. and
Yeah.
the electrification of the society took a long time. I think AI will revolutionize our world much faster than that. But there was a time when people, their job was to go in the streets and light up the candles or the things that would illuminate the streets. And with electricity, obviously, those jobs disappeared. And I think with AI, it's going to be the same. Some jobs will disappear because they won't make sense anymore. But at the same time, a lot of new jobs were created, right? They didn't have electricians at the time. And yeah, so I think for AI, it's really a revolution. It's there for now. We won't be able to put it back in the genie in the bottle, as they say in the US. And yeah, for me, it's a true revolution, and it's doing, or it will have the same effect on the job market for cognitive tasks as mechanization and the industrial revolution had for manual labor. And it's going to be very similar, right? So in factories nowadays, we only need a few humans to oversee all the machines and all the robots in large factories. The thing is, for people whose job is just to use their brain, like consultants, like lawyers, and there are a lot of professions. Well, most of the things that those people do are low value added cognitive tasks. And so it's those low value added tasks that will be taken care of by artificial intelligence, freeing up the time for the human to do the more value added things.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. Yeah.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
yeah.
because people are thinking, okay, can I write a book with AI? I get so many invitations of webinar, finish your book in one day and all. And that is not possible. That will be very mechanical because it won't have your voice and your
Mhm.
heart. Yeah, you can use AI to have outline. You can use AI to overcome your writer's block, or you can use AI to basically improve your writing and all. But the basic core element of of your content has to be from your brain and from your strategy.
Mhm.
It is yeah, you are absolutely right about that.
Mhm.
And I was looking at your profile and even on website. So you recommend Mac, and I used to have Mac, and now I don't have Mac anymore. So what are the strategies? Means those are, you mentioned that some strategies they are applicable for both Mac and Windows. But do you think Mac is better than Windows? And should I just go back to Mac? Or what do you think?
So from I think there are two components. We have the operating system, so Windows being the operating system and Mac OS being the operating system. So we have that part of the equation, and the other part of the equation is the hardware, the physical device that we buy in the shop. And the thing is, the reality is that on the Windows PC side, 90% of the hardware is low quality. And
Oh, I never knew that.
yes, yeah,
Oh man.
yeah. Well, when I say low
So
quality,
even
I
if
say low.
Even if Intel or AMD are all big companies, still you say that?
Yeah,
Oh,
because Intel, AMD are, it's just the chip, it's just the processor. But you have, okay, you have companies like Lenovo and Acer and Asus and so on. Those companies, they they are not looking to provide high quality. They are looking to provide affordable computers, especially for corporations who buy in bulk. And they also know that these kind of corporation, they will buy a new one if they need to, right? If it breaks down or if it becomes too slow. And so they are not really incentivized to provide super high quality hardware. And the the truth is, on the Apple side, on the Mac side, the hardware, the specifications for the hardware are very, very high. And not every manufacturer, not every company or supplier of Apple can manufacture those devices, right? It takes years sometimes for a big company to start producing hardware for Apple, because Apple is very high expectations and very tight tolerances. And the reality is that Macs, the hardware of Apple, last very, very long time. I still have my first iMac, so it's an all-in-one computer of 2007. So it's almost 20 years old. It's in the attic, but I can pull it down, plug it in, and turn it on, and it will work. It will not be super, super fast, but it will not be slow either. And whatever it could do until the last version of the operating system that Apple supported could do, I can. And it's unbelievable, right? I still have 2010 Macs that boot up. I still have, and I have both PCs, and I have a PC from that era. It is slow as a hog, and it doesn't work as well. It heats up. It makes a lot of noise, and yeah, the reality is that when you buy an Apple computer, a Mac, sure, it's more expensive, and it can be twice or sometimes three times more expensive than a PC you will find in a shop, in a Windows PC that you find in a shop. But if you want the same quality hardware as Apple produces, you have to go high-end on the Windows PC side anyway. So if you want a quality Windows laptop, and I don't say that they don't exist, they exist. You can buy very good Windows laptops, but they will not cost much cheaper than a Mac. Because if you want the quality on the Windows side, on the Windows PC side, you have to pay for the quality, right? So as a solopreneur, right, you don't want to spend $2,000 every 2 or 3 years, right? If you spend $2,000, you want that to last for at least 4, 5, if not 10 years. And on the Mac side, I don't say it's a guarantee, but it's the likelihood is much bigger than on the PC side. And then we have the operating system. So you have Windows on one side and you have Mac OS on the other. Now, Windows, because I'm providing corporate training in Excel, Word, and PowerPoint, I still have a Windows PC, right? I still, and my daughter, she wanted a gaming PC. Unfortunately, we don't have, on the Mac side of things, for gaming, it's not the best platform. So I have to to be really fully on that. It's yeah. But so she wanted a Windows PC. So we bought a gaming PC with a graphics card and all the things. But it came with Windows 11. When we had to set it up, we had to make sure that we we didn't click the wrong thing, and we absolutely needed to be connected to the internet because they absolutely wanted to have our a Microsoft account, and we had to remove. There were ads, and it was pushing stuff, and I was like, wow. So much things that Microsoft is trying to push so many things, and then yeah, so that's already one thing, and they are pushing now a lot to be connected at all times with your Microsoft account, to be able, and they want to know basically what you're doing with your computer. And yeah, every month there are security updates, and every month there is a small risk that whatever you had configured doesn't work anymore. The printer doesn't work, or something doesn't work, and yeah, that's and then on top of that, it's not that macOS is more secure. So on the security point of view, it's not that it's more secure than Windows. I think they have the same level of overall security. The thing is, there are 90% of the machines out there are running Windows, and less than 10% are running macOS. So basically, the hackers, where do they go? Right? What's the easiest to target? 90% of the people who have Windows. So they are looking more closely at what Windows, the security vulnerabilities in Windows. They're finding them, they're exploiting them, and then they're trying to target obviously those people. And the the last thing in terms of macOS versus Windows, and the reason why I recommend to at least have a look at macOS is, and we're back to the automation. It's very, very automation friendly, macOS, compared to Windows. So Windows, yes, it's possible to automate things, but you need to be a geek. You need to be super. You need to to be in the top 1% of the population who knows stuff about computers. But on the
Yeah,
Mac side, anyone can start automating. There is an easy application called Shortcuts, and you can again drag and drop things and very quickly automate things.
yeah, I totally agree with you because how thieves basically, if they want to steal something, they will go for the house which doesn't have the security system.
Mhm.
So it is the same thing over here. Means hackers, yeah, if the hardware is so poor, that is easy to target. Yeah, it is such a great explanation because I remember when I was buying my Mac, my daughter told me, "Mommy, go for Mac because it will last longer." And she clearly said, because if you are replacing PCs within so many years, Mac will last way longer. And I remember her opinion that way.
Mhm.
So I wanted to ask you, how did you manage to have your own business and on your own for more than 10 years? Just on your own. How did you manage?
Yeah, so systems automation, that's really the way I look at it. And so delegation, in the sense that there was one thing that from the get-go I could not automate and I didn't want to take care of, was the all the bookkeeping and the accounting side of things. And so I hired an external company, an accountant, an accounting firm. And so for that part, I fully delegated. But I used automation to help me with all the paperwork, because when I started my business, my accountant insisted they wanted a physical folder. All the invoices needed to be printed and in a specific order. And I was like, wow. And guess what? I automated that. So nowadays, and already like 12 years ago, it was already true. Most of the invoices that I got were from web services. So they arrived by email. either as a PDF or as an email. The invoice was the email. And without automation, imagine every month you have to go, you click, print, save as PDF, or download the thing, rename the file, and it's a mess, right? It's really and um, and that's also something that it's a tool that exists only for the Mac. Is that so? I found a tool because I'm using Google Workspace. So every of those invoices, they come in my Gmail mailbox. You asked also earlier, what's the easiest or the first thing they can do to automate? Again, you don't need a PC or a Mac. If you have a Gmail account, use the filters, because the filters, you can say if the subject line contain the word invoice or receipt or this or that, and if it comes from these addresses, filter and add the label. In my case, the label was finance. So automatically all those emails are classified and labeled finance. And then I found a tool. It's a paid tool that saves emails based on certain criteria automatically to Google Drive. And that tool, right? And that tool, the reason why I paid for that tool is because it can do something that I haven't found anywhere else. It can convert the body of the email into a PDF.
So which tool is that?
It's called
What's the name
Save.
of that tool?
It's called Save Emails. I will I
Oh,
will try
okay.
to find it back and then send it to you so you can put a link for the listeners. But it's called Save Emails, and so you create. So I created the rule in the filter in Gmail that says all those invoices get labeled finance, and then with the other tool, I created other rules that says, okay, if you see the label finance and these are the sender email addresses, based on the sender email addresses, some would convert the body of the email into a PDF, save into a special folder in Google Drive, or if there was an attachment, because sometimes the invoice is a PDF attachment, it would save the PDF attachment into a folder in Google, the same folder in Google Drive. And this is the magic then of the Mac. There is a tool on the Mac called Hazel, Hazel. And that tool is the perfect tool for file automation. So I configured that tool to watch this Google Drive folder with all the invoices coming in. And I was able to create rules in the sense that if you find, for instance, the word Podio inside, because that tool can look inside a PDF. So it can look for an invoice number, it can look for a name, it can look for a date. And by automating these file management things, I could then rename the file with the date of the invoice, the name of the web service, put it in a folder that afterwards would be used for my accountant. But guess what? Launch a print every day at 11 p.m. And so every day, no, it was not every day, it was on Saturday. Saturday, 11 p.m., because I didn't want the printer in my office behind me to print at every day. But every Saturday or every Sunday morning, I would wake up, I would go into my office and I would see a pile of invoices ready for me to put in the folder for my accountant. And
Yeah, that is amazing. That is really good. It's, I'm learning so much from you.
mhm.
So I also want to ask you, so what do you think there is consistency of creating content, because solopreneurs, they really have a problem of creating content consistently. So how can they create consistent content?
Mhm. Yeah, so I came up a few weeks ago with this what I call the consistency formula. So for the listeners, I'm an engineer. I was graduated. I graduated from university as an engineer. So I'm very analytical. I'm very math oriented. And whenever I have a challenge or I see something in real life, I have the tendency to turn that into an equation. So that's a bit from my education. And so one morning a few weeks ago in the shower, I was thinking, because I'm always, for me, systems and automation is like it's in second nature today. And I was thinking, yeah, I'm able to produce content consistently because I use automation and system. But then I wonder, what else, right? It cannot be just that. It cannot be just systems and automation. And then I thought a little bit more and I realized that there are other factors that have an impact on consistency. I'll give you quickly the equation that I came up with, which is a bit funny, but so it's uh, proficiency times systems times automations times fun divided by frequency times formats. So if we go back, so proficiency, right? Obviously, when you start producing content, it will be hard to be consistent because you've never done it before. So expect that if you start podcasting, the first 5 or 10 episodes that you will do will take you much longer than what it will after a few weeks or months, right? And so the more you will do it, the more consistent you will be. And that's why people stop. I think the statistic is 7 podcast episodes, right? After 7 podcast episodes, usually podcasters stop. You have to continue. But obviously, being proficient comes with time, but that's not enough, right? You also need systems and automations, right? Systems, it means have some process, a procedure. So for my podcast, I have in Apple Notes a very long checklist, right? And a checklist that covers all the stages of the podcast. So the pre-interview, the preparation, the interview itself, then the editing, then the publishing, right? For all these stages, I have my process. And this process is refined over time, but now I know I never guess what I have to do next. But on top of that, I have automation, right? So in my case, for my podcast, the Macpreneur Podcast, I've made it in such a way that when the guest books the recording slot, that automatically a new recording stage gets created and automatically is used. And in my case, I'm still using Podio for the thing. A new thing is automatically created for me in Podio. There are a bunch of things that get automated behind the scene. And there are emails also that I've automated with the guests and so on. So automation is important. But then we have fun.
Yeah, it's absolutely right. Totally right. And you know, you mentioned about the checklist, and I cannot actually emphasize enough about checklist.
Mhm.
And especially when you're delegating stuff to your team, yeah, means they tend to do mistake because they may not remember everything. And if you have a checklist, tell them, okay, you are any project you're creating, follow this checklist, make sure it is completely done, and then only submit it. And
Mhm.
it is so important.
Mhm.
No, I have a question. Means if someone wants to find you, where can they look for you? I want to know more. If you have website, tell us more about your website or even social media channels. Where can they look for you?
Yeah, so if you have a Mac, if the listener has a Mac, or if they are thinking of maybe going to the Mac side, you can check out my podcast. The Macpreneur Podcast is really the podcast for entrepreneurs, solopreneurs who cannot imagine running their business on anything else than a Mac. if you're not on the Mac yet, maybe it will convince you. I have a nice guest who explain their journey, the transformation. They talk. Usually we talk about what was your first Mac and why did you start? Why did you use a Mac? And most of them, they say, I was fed up. I was fed up with my Windows PC. I got a virus. It stopped working. And one day they said, enough is enough. And they bought a Mac and they didn't look back, right? There wasn't, at no point in time a day they would say, ooh, it would be nice if I would go back to Windows, to a Windows PC. No, once they tasted the Mac, they couldn't go. So macpreneur.com, and you will find all the information about the podcast there. If you already have a Mac and you would like some tips on how to use it more efficiently, you can go to macpreneur.com/tips, and you will go for there. And otherwise, for
Thank.
people who are
Mhm.
not Mac and they don't plan to use a Mac, but they want to connect with me, the preferred platform is on LinkedIn.
Okay, sure. Thank you. So all the information will be in the show notes and the description. So thank you, Damien. Thanks for coming and giving us great insights about automation and also for Mac. And we really appreciate your input. And let's see how we can collaborate and we can work with each other. Thank you and God bless you. Keep up the great work. Thanks again.
Thank you for having me.
Hey, thanks for joining us. We are blessed to have you as part of our community, and whatever way we can help you, serve you, let us know. Please subscribe and let us know how we can help you, what resources you want. We have lots of free resources and also free collaboration joint venture groups you can join and explode your business, because most solopreneurs quit their business before they launch their first products, and I don't want that to happen to you. And that's why we have special launch service where you can monetize your digitals and become profitable as fast as within 7 days. And if you want to scale your business, join our membership New Beginning Success Collaboration, where we'll provide you MRR and PLR products and collaborations so that you can scale your business with ease and effortlessly. And hey, if you want to sell your digitals all over the world, yes, we will provide you affiliates more than 200 countries. So everything is possible. Just live your dream, follow your dream, and whichever way we can help you, do let us know. Thank you and God bless you.